Hello, my dear friends. It's Naik's Biology, and I am Hemant Naik, your biology teacher. Today, it is a ninth class chapter. Differentiate between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic. We will read, and I make it very clear about you. I try to understand the subject very simple, and if you are able to understand and feel the difference, then just you subscribe my channel. Just to start prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Before the starting of the prokaryotic and eukaryotic, I would like to tell you the prokaryotic means the organism when they are developed early earth. After the complexity is developed and the so many organisms are developed, then the eukaryotics came to earth. Then prokaryotic means they are very, very simple organisms where there is no complexity is developed. Whereas the eukaryotic where the complexities are become developed. That's why when the organism consists of a single cell, that is called the unicellular, like bacteria, it is a single cell. And when a organism is developed, more cells, tissues, organs are developed, they are called the multicellular. Let's start with the first point. It is developed unicellular. Not all unicellulars, but all the prokaryotics are unicellular, but all the eukaryotic unicellulars not prokaryotics. Like amoeba is a unicellular, but it is not belongs to the prokaryotic. That's why prokaryotics are unicellular, whereas the eukaryotics it is multicellular, made up of the more than one cell. That means they having the organ system, they having the tissue, all these things. Now come to the second point, which is very very important: nuclear region. See, it is a bacteria. It having the two nuclear region. One it is a plasmid, you know very well, and it is its nuclear region which is not covered at all, and the region is called the nucleoid. Nucleoid means it is a nuclear region of the prokaryotics. This region is not covered, that's why it is not surrounded by any membrane, because nuclear region of the prokaryotics is not covered by the membrane. But in our case, you see, it is a nucleus, and nucleus is covered by the nuclear membrane, and this nuclear membrane inside chromatin is there. But when it will break, our nuclear membrane, when it will break, when the cell start division, when it will follow mitosis or meiosis, then the nuclear membrane will break, then the chromosomes will come outside and they having the different system. That's why the prokaryotics doesn't have the nuclear membrane, but we having the well developed nuclear membrane. And prokaryotic, the nuclear region is called nucleoid, but in our case it is only called the nucleus. That's it. Now, membrane bound cell organelles are absent. What is the membrane bound? Mitochondria is also covered by a membrane. Ribosome is not covered by the membrane. Endoplasmic reticulum covered by the membrane. Chloroplast covered by the membrane. That means most of the cell organelles means the component which is present inside the cell. Suppose you take a nucleus which is a cell organelle and covered by the membrane. That's why in the prokaryotic, the membrane bound cell organelles are absent. If present, mostly they are not present. Suppose one present means it doesn't contain the cell membrane. And but in case of the eukaryotics, the cell membrane and the membrane bound organelles are become present. That means all the cell organelles are covered by the well developed cell membrane, like mitochondria, like chloroplast, like endoplasmic reticulum, like Golgi apparatus. All the cell organelles are covered by the membrane. Now, it will see cell division. How the cell division occur in the prokaryotic? I told what first point. The prokaryotics are become ancient animals. Means when first earth is developed, now prokaryotic is seen in this earth, and they will follow the division like fission. Fission means simple division. One cell break down into two. You recall the amoeba? Simple divide into two. Like bacteria also simple divided one organism divide into the two. It is called the fission. If it is divided into many parts, that is called multiple fission, seen in the plasmodium. And budding in hydra, small board-like structures will develop, and this is a type of reproduction. That means fission and budding-like reproductions is seen in the prokaryotics, because it is really a type of reproduction which is seen in our ancient organisms, unicellular, mostly not advanced, mostly primitive organisms. And whereas here, what type of cell division occur? That is mitosis and meiosis, fully Mitosis and meiosis. If you have any queries about the mitosis and meiosis, you go to my video. I am clear about the mitosis and meiosis. You become very clear. I am quite confident. Then now the ribosome. Ribosome is a organelle which is help in the protein synthesis, and the ribosomes which is present in the prokaryotic, it is a 70s. That means we can read when we will read about the ribosome. No, we can clear about this. And after that, the ribosome which is present in the eukaryotic, it is 8s. What is the difference between 70s and 8s? The 70s ribosome is somewhat primitive, and the 8s means somewhat advanced. Means both having the only one function, that is protein synthesis, and they doesn't have the membrane. Maybe it is a eukaryotic or prokaryotic. Why the ribosome doesn't have the membrane? But all the organelles, the membrane they have. But ribosome, why? Because when it is helping the protein synthesis, it is helps to release the amino acids. That's why they doesn't have the membrane. That's why the ribosome, which is present in the prokaryotics, had the 70s ribosome. The eukaryotics ribosome is 80s ribosome. And what is our example? Example, we can see bacteria, blue-green algae are the example of the prokaryotic because they are most primitive, means old organisms. When the earth is developed, they are only first developed. And after that, more advanced organisms like the plant cell and animal cell, they are the more advanced. They having nuclear membrane. Because they are advanced, their nucleus is covered by the membrane. Because they are not advanced, their nucleus is not covered by the membrane. They are considered as a prokaryotic, and the advanced plant cell animal, they are considered as a eukaryotics. I want to the recall of the points what I explained now. The most important question for the ninth class science exam: differentiate between the prokaryotics and eukaryotics. Prokaryotics unicellular, made up of the single cell, which perform all the functions of the body, whereas eukaryotic, it is a multicellular. Nuclear is covered, not covered by any membrane. Nucleus is covered by the membrane. The nuclear region of the prokaryotic is called the nucleoid, where is not in such because chromatins are present. After that, the membrane bound organelles are absent. If present, that doesn't have the any membrane. Whereas all the membranes, almost all the membranes having the membrane bound except the ribosome. Ribosome doesn't contain any membrane because it is helping the protein synthesis. Now the most important parts, that is reproduction. Reproduction is by simple division, that is fission. In amoeba, you know, but amoeba is not a prokaryotic. Be clear about it. It is a that concept is different. And a simple, they are divided by the fission, and budding is the simplest way of the reproduction found in the prokaryotics, where the mitosis and meiosis is a type of division found in the eukaryotics. After the 70s ribosome is present in the prokaryotics, whereas the 80s ribosome present in the eukaryotics. What is the 70s 80s? Because 70s is become somewhat not so complex, simple ribosome. 80s means somewhat more complex ribosome, but both having the same function of the protein synthesis. Because anyhow, maybe it is a prokaryotic or eukaryotic, they have to prepare the protein, because if a cell is unable to prepare the protein, they cannot exist. They will die. After that, simple example, bacteria and blue-green algae, the example of the prokaryotics, which is not so much developed or complexity is not seen, whereas the plant cell, animal cell are the example of the eukaryotic cell. It is all about the difference between the prokaryotics and eukaryotics. I am quite sure you clear the concept. Thank you for watching my video.